Right, just to finish off with the beds until the bedding's gone off the top, this is just to show you the watering setup. The hose pipe's connected into here with the T-piece on. There's two T's running down. This is seep hose. As you can see, it's dripping nicely there. Running along the barrels. This is the Blanchleek beds which I started earlier. Right, we get to the barrels where once these are off, you can see underneath I've emptied these barrels already. The barrels are empty. There's 20 barrels here with the framework up above. As you can see, the drips are coming out there nicely. This is just self-watering. It drips all the way along. It's all rigged up ready. Compost ready to be tipped into the empty barrels. Joining us number 2, nothing else added. I will add a little bit seaweed, but that's all, seaweed meal. Right, there's 10 barrels completely emptied. All I do is I fork the bottom over, tip the bags in. These are the ones which I've worked on. There's 10 barrels done here, as we can see along. You can see again the water dripping there. This is just drip hose. Right, I'll go through the system again. We've got a base bed which is 3 breeze blocks high. That's obviously used to be trenches that I used to grow in. I grew in for about 5 or 6 years and then decided that I would like to change the soil on a more regular basis. So I went on to the barrel system more than 20 years ago now. I painted the barrels white to try and reflect the sunlight and stop the barrels from drying out. Had great problems on a hot day. The sun beating on the barrels used to dry the sides of the roots and burn them. So I decided to cover with black and white polythene, which I did. It worked very well, and then you always try and modify. So a few years ago I come up with the idea, put your barrels in a row, put the lats on, screw them to the barrels. The polythene is screwed onto the side here, onto this timber frame, goes up over the top of the barrel, down the other side. So in actual fact there's a void here, cool air, and that keeps the barrel nice and cool. I can water the trench by the seep hose. I still water the actual barrels by hand with a hose pipe. So this will all get covered with black and white polythene. I've left the fleece up. Once they're planted out, I will fleece them up. We're still getting frosty nights here, but apart from that, we've been getting some quite sunny days, and until they actually get a hold in the barrels, I like to give them a little bit of protection from the hot sun. So they'll be covered with fleece once they're planted out. The framework, as we can see, this framework screwed onto the side of the bed, comes up on an angle, and it's got little hooks going up. It's tied into a top wire, and once the leeks are planted, I put galvanized steel bars through. It's just 1/2 inch pipe, and the flags are pulled up over the top of that. I do use pipe lagging over the top. I'll just show you the pipe lagging. Already large bore. That will also do to blanch the leeks, but I do use that to go onto the lagging. So that's the system. Basically this soil in here is now 3-year-old. 3 years ago, well 2 years back, it was fresh bags of John Innes number 2 compost with at that point with only seaweed meal added. I used to use calcified seaweed, nothing else. It grew quite comfortably for 1 year. Last year decided to grow in without anything. I didn't have a lot of time on my hands, so we just grew in exactly the same barrels, didn't add any fertilizer, and everything was fine. But this year I've turned 10 out. We've turned them over, moved them along. In here, the base, I've added 2 ounces of fish blood and bone meal onto the actual bed itself, inside the barrel though. Then I've half filled it when the pot goes in, and I've then put a handful, which was approximately 4 ounces, just under 4 ounces of John Innes base fertilizer, and then I've filled it up around the pot, and then in the top 2 inches I've put about 2 to 3 ounces of seaweed meal has been added in the barrels, and that's it. The barrels will be soaked. I'll put this drip hose on here for the next few days. It'll be on maybe an hour a day. As you can see, it's very soon starting to wet the ground. The ground is pretty dry because it's been covered up. The far end will get John-Innes number 2 added, and I'll show you the job once we're planted out, probably 2 or 3 days time, once I get rid of the few plants that's left at the far end. That's for the Blanch leeks. Thank you very much now. Bye.